It's like
Hey,
powered by a ghost.
you might have a nicer camera, but you do not have a nicer sign. So there's
I
that.
know. I gotta get that fixed. It's pissing me off. But what's up, man?
We're late this week. It's
Right.
Ramsey's fault.
Yep.
But
Yep,
that doesn't
always.
take away from the episode. To me, Ramsey, I've said this more than once. This was my favorite episode.
I enjoyed this episode. However, I'm going to ask a question. Was this the final episode? Is it over? Are we done? Finito, finished, all the words to describe done. Is it? Your thoughts, your quick rapid fire. Are we going to have any more Lakefront Empires? Because I'm leaning towards no. Matter of fact, I'm writing it down. I'm putting it in stone. It's done.
Do you know this for certain?
No, I'm just saying by the fact that they moved it to a Tuesday morning at 9:00. I think is the nail in the coffin, so to speak.
I agree. And it's sad because honestly, again, I think they've gotten a little bit better as the show's gone on.
They have. I agree with you there. For those of you just tuning in, just checking this out. So we're talking about Lakefront Empire. We're behind the scenes. We got a guest today, should be on any second. But we're talking about season 1, episode 8, main channel mansions. And here's what HGTV has to say about the episode. It could be a huge payday if Peggy can find the house with everything and a view for one of the richest men at the lake. Amanda's challenged by a couple with different ideas for their budget. So there you have it. And Ciera is here. Perfect. The timing was perfect.
And I got a baby next to me, and if he doesn't cry, we're going to be a huge success.
That is awesome. If you're comfortable, I'd love to see the little guy. I see him on Facebook.
Yes.
So
Yes, he's trying to fall asleep over there.
look at him. Look at him.
He's a stud.
What a doll.
He's
He's a
tough
good
guy.
little baby. Yeah.
So Ciera, you and I have chatted before, but Ciera, I don't know if you and Jeff had ever met prior to this. So Jeff meet Ciera, Ciera meet Jeff.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Jeff, if you don't know Ciera and folks watching, Jeff is an old Kinderhook / Clearwater condo resident. So he's a big Camdenton fan. He's a Playcraft fan, and he's just an all around okay dude.
Just a jackass. You can say it. I mean, come on, let's go. It's all right.
Just okay. Just barely made it.
So let's jump right into it. Ciera, before you came on, I asked Jeff, and I have an answer. I'm curious to hear yours. Season 2, yes or no?
Well, I'm a very optimistic person, and I would love an opportunity to do a season 2. So I'm going to say yes and put it out in the universe, and hopefully it comes to fruition. The last I talked to production is that they were having a meeting. It should be this week or next week where they sit down and they talk about a renewal and a season 2. And it's kind of like a round table where they all talk to see if they're ready to go for a season 2.
Awesome. Well, I hope for your guys' sake it happens. I know we've had a ton of fun watching, commenting, unpacking, and the most fun I've had, to be honest, is the internet trolls. Like that's where and I would love to later on. Let's get your thoughts on some of those and maybe some of the best that you've read. But just tell us about the show. Tell us how it all went down. Let's start there.
Okay. Well, I can't remember how they reached out to us. It was probably an email or a phone call. And it really started with a bunch of Zoom meetings and interviews. And then they came and met with us and shot some in-person videos. And I was really excited about it from day one because I love public speaking. I love, we do a lot of videos just like you do for all of our listings, and anything to get some more exposure would be fantastic. And I'm one of those who watches Bravo and like Millionaire Real Estate Agent and love those shows and watch HGTV all the time. So I was excited the opportunity to make something happen at the lake. At the time, we had no clue it was going to be HGTV. So it's a production. I learned a lot through this, but it was a production company who's going to put the show together, and then they're going to sell it to different networks and see who's going to pick it up. So it easily could have been TLC, could have been Netflix, it could have been any other of these other networks. And what we really hoped is it wasn't going to turn out to be something like a Selling Sunset, where it was going to be our personal lives and a lot of drama. Because as you know, our careers are on fragile ground at all times. One wrong thing and it could ruin your reputation and the professionalism that you've created with your clients. So I was a little nervous about that, but that's really kind of where it started off. There was a lot of other agents involved, and they just kind of weaned it down through different pilots and different things that they shot. So I was personally happy that they weren't going to be diving into our real lives trying to create drama and fights, because that's not how I roll. And I think you would have to agree, it's a very small community, and everybody really gets along really well. And some people think I might, like, from not being from here, they may not understand that and think we're just kind of BSing them, but I believe it's true. I think everybody works really well with each other. You don't speak poorly about other agents, because you're always going to have to work with these people for a long, long time. It's not like the big cities where you could tell somebody to F off in a transaction and know that you're never going to have to work with them again.
Right. No, it is really small, and to a credit to you, the way you handled Amanda. And we talked on a previous episode about how I went through the exact same situation whenever I got my license and joined the board, and the conversations that came up. But Jeff, let's have you chime in. What do you got for Ciera?
Well, something you said there that I thought was interesting, because I got the feeling, and I watched the show objectively. First of all, I'm not entrenched in the real estate community at the lake yet. But as I watch it, and first of all, I feel like Peggy kind of got pinned a little bit on the personal side, and they did bring that out in her, but they didn't do that with anybody else. So I agree with you on that. But I got the impression that, like, I would be intimidated as an outside real estate agent trying to come into the lake. And I know the lake pretty well. And I felt like, man, they really positioned it to where if you try to come from the outside in, you might get a little railroaded here with, trying to show property. And frankly, just watching, not as a real estate agent, and even watching last night or this week's episode, watching an outside agent explain things like, nuances about a cove or nuances about different areas. I'm cringing because I knew it better than them. And I'm thinking to myself, oh God, please don't be their agent. What is your take on that? Because maybe that's why local agents cringe and don't like outside agents, because there are so many intricate details that don't apply to any other market.
Yeah, we do. And it does make you cringe a lot. Just because you have a condo at the lake doesn't mean that you sell real estate in a different city, doesn't mean that you're well equipped and educated to be able to sell real estate down here at Lake of the Ozarks, because it really is different. And you're going to sell somebody a property in the fall on the main channel where it's got the best views in the world. But did you tell them that their little 2 and 3 year olds are going to be on a roller coaster on the weekends in the summer, and that they're not going to be able to use that lily pad that they're so excited to use? And then the summer comes around and these people are like, what the heck? How did you not tell us this? Or, hey, we're in the back of a cove, and when the lake levels drop, your dock is going to be on mud. And little did you know that you got to get your boat out where it's now stuck because it's on the mud. We didn't even get into septic systems because they didn't want to talk about that. That's not pretty and fun on TV, but that's another big thing down here. And even things like vacation rentals, knowing the zoning, knowing restrictions, and getting somebody to buy something that for an investment purpose that they're not even be able to use. But I think for the show, I really do think that's pretty true. The way our multiple listing services work, how other outside agents can't come show property and have access and get codes to get into our lock boxes. The local agents they're not always thrilled when outside agents are trying to come in and do a deal or two. They want you to be invested in this community, because I believe in small towns, you have to be invested, you have to be involved, you have to give back to the community, and people want to support those people. Yeah. And that's just kind of how the little community works. And of course they wanted to portray that because it's TV. They wanted a little little spiciness to it. Ooh, new agent trying to come in, take some business. But I've always believed it's so much easier to be helpful to these agents, because if I have the listing, I owe it to my sellers to bring them a qualified buyer. And if these agents have a buyer and they may not be from the area, I'm just going to work a little harder to make sure that they know things to help educate their clients. At the end of the day, we're just here to get a deal together. We don't need to try and make things hard on somebody trying to make a living.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's a testament to how you act, and like I said, let's be honest though, on the other side, we do see agents that aren't willing to go on the extra mile on the other side, and that's all that agents like yourself, agents like me, other agents that we work with, like, we're just hoping they're willing to work, because there's others that are just like, meet me here, open this door, or what's a doc envelope? Like, they're not willing to at all learn or embrace and do all that. So it is a different dynamic, and it's hard to describe. And it changes all the time too, because there's so many new agents. Let's get back. Let's talk specific about the show. There has been some, obviously we saw that maybe not a lot of actual properties were purchased. One specific client I want to have you touch on, and I forget her name, but she was looking at some places over in Lake Ozark. She found it was like episode 5, I think, the first episode that you were really kind of featured. Did she end up buying that house, or were you not able to get a deal?
No, so that's my friend Rachel, the one who I grew up with down here at the lake. We did write an offer on it. We went back about 2 or 3 different counter offers. And after the show, she's like, I just really wish we could have came together on that price. But there was a big ticket item of a retaining wall that had about $25,000 repair on it. And we just couldn't come to terms. She wanted that off the price. The seller said, hey, I priced it knowing this retaining wall had foundation issues. Of course, in the show, she did want to replace the carpet. We added up the cabinets. We had like 5 different bids we went through, but we did negotiate on that and just didn't end up coming together on the price. She is a real buyer. She ended up signing a lease, and we are getting ready to start looking at property again. I send her stuff. She's living in Tuscumbia, and she travels a lot for Fox Sports. So she is a real buyer, and that's another reason why I hope we get a season 2, because these people we're still working with. All the people I work with were my true active buyers. And so I really hope if we have season 2, I know everybody would love to see these people get into their homes.
Right.
So that I would love to be able to finish the story that was projected.
So that brings up 2 things. One, you agree with us and a lot of the internet that says we just want to see the finale. We want to see that they bought, or if they chose a different property or area or whatever, right? That's a fair statement.
Absolutely. I love when they cut to the end and later on Rachel decided to do this, and they did a little bit at the end of the episode.
Gerardo was the first one that they kind of went back, and you could tell it was like post production and all of that stuff. So second, then let's dispel some internet trolls. You said just about a minute ago, though Rachel was your buyer, the people you worked with were your actual clients, because Facebook, no one believes, they were cherry picking. And even Peggy told us last week that she had a couple of those, but for you, those were your buyers?
They absolutely were. Yeah, those are people that I'm actively working with. They're in my shopping carts. And those are people, and I wish we would be able to portray it, that last fall we had no inventory. There was nothing to show anybody. Tanya and Carrie, that lovely couple, I wish they would have shot us at their house, because I've had her house listed for a while. And her house has been on the market. And so we've been actively looking for something for them two together. And when the price ranges from $1 million to $1.4 million, there was nothing out there. Right. So it was difficult that we had to show them some homes that I would have never picked for them, because I know exactly what my people are looking for, and we don't want to waste their time or our time. And the McDaniels, those are my big luxury clients. They will buy a house in a heartbeat if I find it for them, but they already have a $3.5 million home that's perfect. It just has too many steps, and you can't add an elevator, and you can't add a ramp down from the driveway. So if they find something, they will buy it in a heartbeat. So absolutely, these people are still active buyers, and that's why I really hope is now our inventory is huge, and I'm back showing property with all of these people. So I would really love the opportunity to show these, show the the world, the internet trolls of these people getting into their homes.
Please do. Please do.
Was the last couple, was that the older couple that you showed the house in Lynn Creek in Fishing Cove?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they're the ones who have the house in the Villages.
Yep.
And they've been great clients of my parents back in the past. And they showed them to be a little bit negative. They are like that. They're lovely. It's just they have really high standards, and their home right now is so perfect. I sold it to him a couple of years ago, and it's just flawless. But he just has heart issues, and those 75 steps that he always counts is just too much. And it's a hard house to beat. Yeah.
That house is one of my best friends. So I know the people that own that particular house. And and I knew this was coming, obviously, as friends of theirs. And when that episode kicked off, and you setting the stage, and it was like, man, I'm like, that's not the right couple. There's no way they're gonna love that house, because that house, the Kaiser's house, is like the perfect house for a little bit younger, that has kids, has grand, as you see. I mean, there's a ton of games in there. They've got it's a huge lakefront. They've got the beach. They've got the party dock. And as soon as I saw that, I was so disappointed, because I was like, there's no chance in hell.
It's funny. Your buddy actually called me the next day, and I was so nervous. Like, he's going to bring me a new one. But he was so nice, and he complimented how I overcame their objections. And to be 100% honest, I would have showed them that property. The only business thing I didn't think they like about it is that location. They are Four Seasons, Villages type folks. They love JB Hooks, and they go to the same places every single time. But they're actually buying their home for their kids and their grandkids. Their children actually use the house all the time. That's only who's at their home in the Villages. So he uses it to bring all of his bank VPs and stuff down for some corporate events. But really, and a lot of people do that. They're buying this house for their kids and their grandkids to have a place to love and keep their memories alive. They're here, a couple weekends out of the year. And so they have a big movie theater now, and a big game room, and a big party dock. Oh, cool. And so they would have actually loved all that stuff, because it's all for their grandkids.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
That guy was very nice, and I love that house.
It would have been okay if you would have told me he's an asshole, because he is kind of sometimes. So that would have been okay.
No, he was so nice. He caught me off guard. And the baby was probably like 4 days old. And I answered my phone first thing in the morning, and it caught me off guard. I was like, wow, this might start happening after every seller calls me that their house is on TV.
Yeah.
That actually segues into a really good question, something we didn't get to ask Peggy. Like, what are you seeing, 6, 8, 10 weeks post show airing into the show? Are you getting strange phone calls? Has it helped some of the things you're doing? Or I know you're so involved in so many different things, and the baby, of course.
Yeah, that has helped. It has helped me not read any of the internet trolls. I haven't looked at one post on Lake Area Happenings. I haven't looked at any of it.
I'll look at it for you.
Yeah, Joe Rogan had like a quote, and I might butcher it, but he was like, he tells all these comedians and celebrities when they start putting themselves out there is post it and never look at it again. And I just retold myself that again. It's like, hey, you put yourself out there. There's going to be people who are going to talk the craziest stuff, but don't go rabbit holes. Don't waste your time with that stuff. You did it, love it, own it, and keep moving on. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
No, it's all right. I got what you're saying, and I will throw this in.
I do get a lot of stuff on a lot of Instagram. A lot of people reaching out. Hey, I went to school with you. Do you remember? I love your show. It's really fun. Just even people recognizing, like my mom. She went to a restaurant. Like, oh, I didn't know you were a legend. Here, let me get your food. Come into the front. Like, it's kind of funny how you forget how many people actually watch the show, and how you start to kind of get recognized a little bit. I'd like to say I've been getting a bunch of business from it. It's just that time of the year where we're getting a ton of listings, but in my head, I'm like, oh, it's because of the show. But I think it's just because I was lead generating like crazy before I had the baby, and now it starts to come to fruition.
So, I actually thought Tanya and her husband, I forget his name, or fiance at the time. I kind of secretly thought they were going to buy that place in Gravois Mill. Like the way they liked it, like I was sitting here going, like, this is the prime example to talk to the internet trolls. Are like, they're showing them places they don't want. And it's like, watching that, it was like, this is why. Like, this is why, because people think they don't want something until they get there, and then they realize that, hey, we can do this, or we can just add this commute or whatever. So I thought they were going with that one.
That really surprised me. That was one I probably never would have showed them, because I know that all the friends live in the villages and they live in Lake Ozark and they play pickleball every single day. And so if that little community had a pickleball court where they could have their friends come and play and meet up with them and stuff, I think that would have been a for sure bet. But until they got in the house, and her home is very like modern and bright colors, and they just remodeled it. It wasn't that style, but it was interesting that they loved it because it was kind of a common ground for both of their styles. Right. So yeah, if that house, she was 100% right. If that house was in Four Seasons or the Villages, it would have been a done deal.
Well, it's so cool to, and I'm like you, kind of what you said earlier about just the follow through and kind of the finality of some of this stuff. But it would have been nice to see a little bit more in depth and kind of like a vloggy style more, because I know you educate buyers, right? Just like I educate buyers, and we buyers are liars. We all use that little term because just like that, like you can think they don't want something and then they end up wanting it. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see you on the show. I'm excited for the things you have going on. Jeff, anything else you got for Ciera? Any other questions? By the way, Jeff's kind of the asshole and I'm kind of the nice guy. So,
yeah, that's fair.
Wow, he's been really easy on me then.
Yeah.
You know what, Ciera? I told myself I was going to pick on Peggy when we had her, and because I kind of did on this, not in a terrible way, but it's just, we're kind of yin and yang. Like Ramsey's politically correct, and I'm kind of have a little fun. And I think Peggy, the thing I respect the hell out of her is she owns it. She is who she is and she owns it. And I got nothing bad to say about that. Like I respect the hell out of that. And honestly, with you, you're as sweet as you portray yourself. That's my take. I've never met you before. It's the first time we've come across each other. You're going to see a hell of a lot more of me at the lake in the coming years. But I think you've done a magnificent job and you keep killing it. I will tell you this. Take advantage of this. You have built yourself a really strong name before the show. Now the show is just going to compound it. So now it's like, really, really take it and run with it because there is something to be said for having a celebrity status. It works. And, now you've got that sweet baby boy and you've got some fun on your hands coming forward. So I think it's been great. It's really, really great to meet you. It's been fun to watch.
Well, thank you. That was really kind of you to say. And yeah, you had a choice and it's easy to, and they even said things like that. They're like, well, we want you to stop acting like you're on your Instagram videos or you're doing your real estate videos. We want you to like be raw and tell us. I'm like, well, this is who I am. Like, I don't think this is my personality and I'm not going to change it. And you had to be strong because of course they want you to say things or say things negatively. I'm like, well, I would never do that in real person. So I'm not going to do that now and be stuck on camera doing it. And I think everybody that was on the show really was 100% authentic. Justin and Jonas are like that in real person. They're the yin and the yang. Justin will say it how it is. Jonas is so professional, well put together. And Peggy owns it. I respect her absolutely 100%. She's really cool. So I think you're right. I was really happy that everybody at least got to come out for their real selves because it'd be really easy to try to act like you're something that you're not when you're given an opportunity like this. But then you regret it. So none of us wanted to regret any of this. Well, some people might, but. I
do have one question is, are the two agents the ones from Jeff City, so Gerardo, and then the gal from St. Louis, have you all seen any more of them, or do you think that was a made for TV move?
Well, I know that Gerardo, he has a boat that he keeps down here. He bought it from Big Thunder. And so he's down here all the time and brings his team down. He grew up in Jeff City and went to college there and played football. So he's down at the lake all the time. So he really did know a lot of stuff. I think he played along well. Like, I think he knew a lot more than what the show kind of made it seem. So Gerardo for sure. Jeff City is a natural. I mean, I sell in Jeff City too. So that's a natural flow of where we're doing business. So I see Gerardo doing a lot. I see Amanda, all of my clients, they're from St. Louis and Kansas City. So I bet she's got a lot of buyers that want to be here. I probably see her just referring it out, hopefully calling me and saying, hey, let's work a deal. I'll give you a 25% referral fee and you send my people down here. Because Gerardo he's looking at condos. He wants to buy a place here. So when you're that close and you come down here for vacationing all the time, I foresee him doing business down here.
Yeah. Yeah. For those that don't know, Jeff City is damn near, it's almost like a suburb in a big city. It's that close effectively.
Yeah. I mean, what's a 40-minute drive? And Gerardo has sold property here. He sold a condo at the Falls. So I think he had one other, but he has sold at least something here at the lake. And selling condos are not easy. So he did learn a lot of that through that transaction.
Yeah.
Now, I can't let you go without telling you Happy Mother's Day.
Huh.
That is so sweet. Thank you.
Like I said, I'm a fan of women and their ability and what they do and what they mean to me. I'm a girl dad. Jeff's a girl dad as well.
That's why you're a softie. It melts your heart.
It's so bad. I'm such a softie. But,
wrapped around our fingers, man. Wrapped around our fingers.
There's nothing I won't do. So, but from me, I appreciate your authenticity of what you've been, how you acted on the show, who you are as a person. I know you're heavily involved in a lot of real estate association stuff. I know you've got multiple businesses with your yoga that you do and all the things. And I'm a fan seeing you do your thing and hashtag boss babe, all the girl stuff that there is. I'm fond of you and I appreciate you doing this with us and just giving us something a little different behind the scenes.
Well, that's great. Well, I appreciate the opportunity. You guys have a great podcast and I wish you lots of success. And Jeff, look forward to meeting you. And Ramsey, I'm always happy to see you around town. Good luck with your guys' podcast. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And do me a favor when you kind of quote leave the room or whatever, give your phone about a minute to upload everything. Don't just like close out of the app because it'll give it time and it'll look better on the back end. But again, we appreciate you so much. And maybe let's hope for season 2. And let's hope that next year we're doing another one of these podcasts and we'll get to get some closure on some of these deals. And best of luck to your clients.
I love that. I'll be calling you first thing when we hear the news.
Awesome. Please do. Please do. Ciera, have a good day. Happy Mother's Day.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Take care.
Ciera, that was awesome. She is great. And like she said, she is 100% much like Peggy. Like she is who she says she is. And she did what she said she'd do. And I'm a fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. More so now than I was before, I would say. Yeah. 100%.
So let's jump into the specifics of the episode, kind of talk about, and I'll be honest with you, I usually do like a little bit of like some of the stuff. I had a hard time finding a lot of these properties.
Really?
Specifically, we'll get to the very last one and what was said and all of that. But yeah, I couldn't find, so we met Robert Reagan. He had the very unique house.
Mm-hmm. He was moving back to the lake from Miami.
Right. And we see a theme from the production. They like risque, swingers, stripper poles, leopard print. And Robert was the perfect person, right?
Dude, I mean, the stripper pole was one thing. The purple room took it to another. Like stripper pole, I've seen that before. The purple room, holy shit. Like, I mean, my first reaction, I actually won't say my reaction because we might interview him on the show and I don't want to piss him off, but that'll probably give you an inkling of what I was going to say. You know what? The question I want to ask him is, when you bring a woman back to that room, what's their first reaction? Like, I could see like half of them running the other direction and maybe half of them actually enjoying it. But man, I laughed. It was crazy. That was cool. I actually thought it was very entertaining.
So Awesome, because it actually reminded me too, because that house, his residence that they showed with the purple room, had been on and off the market a few times prior to the show, or at least it felt like I'd seen it before. Maybe it was right around when they were filming, but it's always been a very scroll stopping house when you're scrolling through the MLS and you're looking. And the reason why I say that is because the best part about that show is they were not, at one point they did not allow any of his secret closet, like, and the bed and all that. Like, he had specific items that he was keeping. And then to see him follow through on the show and talk about how that, what his plan would be for the next house was pretty cool. So,
yeah, that was, the secret closet too, which was also pretty cool.
the armoire as the door.
To me, when Peggy set the stage of one of the richest guys at the lake, and then the outward appearance of the house, I was like, interesting. Like, that's very unbecoming. Like, it wasn't there of all the freaking million, lots of $1 million homes at the lake. That one was not. But then you learn the story and it makes sense. Like, well, he's only here part-time. Why do you need a massive house? But yeah, it was interesting. And then the storyline, of course, continued, as you know, which arguably continued with another one of the richest guys. I thought he was the richest guy at the lake. So now I'm curious to know who actually the richest guy at the lake is. I thought it was you, Ramsey, actually.
I think it's that person that everybody's rumored is building a house in the Villages right now. Or is it the other person that has sold out concert venues all over the world and has sold and made more money than Beyonce? If that goes further, because rumor, let's go back.
Wait a minute, you're talking about a professional athlete on one, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking. One is a professional athlete. Two is a professional entertainer.
Yep. Which one?
Well, so let me back up. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. So the rumor is Patrick Mahomes is building a property or has built a property or whatever at the lake.
Yep.
I've heard various stories about where it is, what it is. I'm not here to out Patrick and his family where they are. Whatever they're building, I'm sure it's absolutely beautiful and amazing, and they deserve every right to be at the lake and enjoy what the lake has to offer. But the other one is, there's always been a rumor that Mr. Travis Kelce owns a property here. And the way things are going, that if Travis Kelce owns a property here, then Miss Taylor Swift would potentially own a property here because if they stay together. So never know what you might see on Lake of the Ozarks this summer.
Shit, dude. Now I don't know what the hell you title this episode, because, there's always this, you have to have fun with the thumbnails. And I thought it was going to definitely be stripper poles. Now I'm not sure if it's going to be Taylor and Travis. But I will say this. Those professional athletes are not probably as wealthy as the business people, to be honest with you. Not yet. Not some of those the people that we're talking about are
not
much
more wealthy than Taylor Swift.
Well, I don't consider Taylor a true target. A true target.
No, I get what you're saying, and I don't disagree. I guess I probably weight fame and wealth a little differently, or weight fame higher on the wealth scale, because it is what it is. But yeah. There's always been, we've always had, obviously there's CEOs, there's business owners, there's, you name it here. There's dog food moguls that have property here. There's this Robert Reagan guy that,
I never even knew who the hell that guy was. There's a retired NFL quarterback. There's, obviously there's a very famous real estate agent who's a ball player who has a Super Bowl ring. Dude, there's probably more inconspicuous, inconspicuous 100 millionaires at the lake. I don't know if there's billionaires, but definitely 100 millionaires at the lake that you'd never know.
Oh yeah, like some of these farmers and stuff
Yeah.
that have,
Yeah.
and so I don't. That's what I mean. I guess we're kind of wrapping up. Unfortunately, maybe not unfortunately, but we're kind of wrapping up this whole season kind of in this episode. But we talked about it in the very first episode. There are every demographic of people at this lake, from hog farmers to dog food moguls to entertainers to athletes to blue collar good old boys to retirees to you name it, they're here and they enjoy it. And I like some would agree that the show needed to do a little bit better job of showing the lake, but I still think it did. And I also am a realist and realize like they can't spend 15 minutes an episode showing something to do. We got to see Sugar Creek this week.
Yeah.
I'd love for him to go show Mike's place and the go-kart track, but like they can't show everything and talk about the community like people expected them to.
Well, that's why they go to Lake of the Ozarks lifestyle channels, because that's what we do.
Well, yes, you're not wrong. But let's get back to the show. Sorry, we get off track easy. Robert's house currently listed.
That was not. No, that was discussed in the show, but it really wasn't talked about much. Okay, no. And by the way, who in the hell is going to buy that house with that purple room? Come on.
Yeah,
that's going to be a turnoff, man. That is going to absolutely be a turnoff to the typical Lake of the Ozark buyer.
Okay, so let's talk about that turnoff, because I don't know if it was Mr. Reagan or who, but that property was sold to someone in 2015, and guess what price?
What do you mean it was sold to someone?
Someone bought. I can't guarantee that it was when Robert Reagan bought it. I'm just saying like this. I'm just saying somebody bought it in 2015.
What mile marker is that house on?
So it's on the 20-mile marker. It's in Osage Beach.
All right.
Yep.
2015. It's not a huge house. Good location. Busy as hell area of the lake. I'm gonna say
main channel.
I'm gonna say 400,000.
Ooh, you're not terribly wrong. Someone, maybe Mr. Reagan in 2015 purchased that house for $349,000. I can assure you, as I'm looking through pictures to confirm, but in 2015 it did not have a purple room.
Yeah, he said in the show he did that himself.
Right. So Mr. Reagan listed that property, or someone listed that property all the way back. It's been on the market since August of 2023. So almost a full year now. Started out at $1,072,500, and it's currently on the market for $819,000.
Wow.
Yep. $819,000. Wow. So if that's another, like, okay, that obviously this was a while back, and his house wasn't a house that could be purchased at the show. So I get it, but like a little bit more of that closure, like just continue, because on the marketing side of Lake of the Ozarks, like people, I think, want to understand. And I think that's why we're having some success with this podcast. Like they want to see the real world aspect of what those properties sold for or were. So yeah, currently listed at $819,000. It looks like it just came back on the market on April 30th. So they had a contract. They started, like I said, at $1,072,500 and they're down to $819,000. So Mr. Reagan's probably ready to get that house gone. So we'll be curious to see what happens with that.
Very cool. So if you want a stripper pole, a purple room, a secret closet, and really just a really nice house, although a very busy spot of the lake, so you're not going out there and swimming off that dock.
Oh, that view can't be beat.
No,
like
no. And what did he say? You get a sunset and a sunrise. That's probably 10% of the properties on the lake. You usually get one or the other, not both.
Right.
And so yeah, that seems like a pretty good price.
Yeah. So we'll be anxious to see. So let's get into, let's go back though. Let's talk about Diane, I apologize if I butcher that, and Jamal. Amanda's clients from the St. Louis area, we think. A little bit of a flipper, kind of investor type clients, done this before, clearly knew what needed to happen. First house, you could tell after like 2 rooms they were done.
Except that was the house that he wanted to make an offer before they went in the house.
Yes. Yeah. And then they got a quick lesson in affordability at the lake and understanding what X price gets you versus what Y price gets you. And his wife was big on a higher budget, right? No, she wanted a lower budget and he wanted the higher budget, correct?
Yeah, she said 750. He said 500 to 600.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and then they ultimately found something. I could not find that house either. I'm not real familiar with that neighborhood or those particular properties.
That was Camden.
Was it Cam? Yeah, I'm going to need to look in because I don't remember where those are by water or by land. So my apologies for those listening and watching this. I can't get you a bunch of info about that house. Let's talk about, let's talk about, so the first house that Mr. Reagan saw. Pool, loved it, wanted it, made him decide he wanted the pool. And then the view he wasn't sold on, but then was sold on. Fair assessment?
Yeah, that was in a cove, which is why he didn't like it. It was literally across the lake from his current house.
Mm-hmm. And did you know, so they didn't talk about this in the show, but as I'm looking on the back end, the house that he did want, that we got to see some negotiations and a handshake deal on, they mentioned that they were friends and that they were neighbors or close. They're literally neighbors.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Really?
like
I didn't know that. I figured it was on the same street or something. They didn't portray it as literal neighbors.
No,
really?
like if you probably paid attention, and I bet you could go back and you could watch when they showed his house and his dock or his view, you probably see Mr. Pruitt's house right next door. So, I mean, yeah, like
what's his first name?
His name is Robert Reagan.
No, Pruitt's first name.
Gary Pruitt.
Gary, that's right.
Yeah. Yep. So, and if you guys aren't familiar, you might be able to get a better idea of where these properties were if you're familiar with Shorty Pants or Heron Bay condos, Nichols Road, right around the hospital. So, I mean, right in the heart of Osage Beach. Like, only way to be closer to the heart of Osage Beach is be just on the other side of the Grand Glaze Bridge. So right there in Heron Bay. Shout out to Heron Bay. Just so if you are watching this show and curious about Lake of the Ozarks, Heron Bay is a very, very affordable, large condo complex that is pretty unique to the lake and kind of one of the first bigger developments in that kind of regard. Cool little spot. A lot of short-term rentals in there. A little different floor plan than you typically see in a condo, but kind of cool little spot. But yeah, so Robert Reagan tried to buy his next door neighbor's house, which is Gary Pruitt. And for those of you who don't know, Gary is the owner of multiple businesses at the lake. They mentioned that he had a dock company. He also has Shady Gators. He also has Backwater Jacks. And owns the land around Hy-Vee, Target, all of that sort of thing. So Mr. Pruitt is a very, very well-known developer in the area.
Mm-hmm. Understatement.
Yeah. So definitely a forward thinker, definitely always bringing new ideas to the lake area and excited to see what else he's got in store. What are you looking at there? I can tell like you're deep in thought.
I was just looking shit up. I'm just as we're talking, I was like to kind of get some back stuff and whatnot, whatever I can find.
Gotcha. I would
Yeah.
love to have.
I
Hopefully,
mean,
we will have
I think
Robert.
it was great that they included Pruitt, because to me, he's kind of, as I don't know him, I've never met him, but even like you mentioned, the Target and Hy-Vee plaza with Lowe's in it, it says it's Pruitt's Point, right? So it's like,
Right.
I mean, this dude's, I would argue, fairly is as iconic a name at the Lake of the Ozarks, and has done as much as a entrepreneur developer as probably anybody at the Lake of the Ozarks. That doesn't mean he's a nice guy. I don't have any idea. My guess is he's a successful businessman. He's probably railroaded a few people. But that's what you have to do sometimes in business. So I don't mean that necessarily a bad way. And maybe not. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this is me being the asshole. But
Remember when you said Ramsey's politically correct?
Yeah. Fair enough. That tells me everything I need to know right there.
Hey, I can't. The lake wouldn't have a lot of things if it weren't for folks like him.
Yeah.
Bottom line, I mean, the right, wrong, indifferent, good, bad, like it takes people making moves and hurting feelings and doing what they're doing. And so I'm not gonna cast any shade on that sort of thing. But
no, I'm really glad that the show put him in it. I'm glad the show put him in it. I think it's really cool that he was willing to even show his house too, as somebody as prominent as that. And that was a pimp house too. I mean, the house was, again, not massive, but man, pimp is all pimp on the inside. And I love how it showed the cost. Like, this fireplace cost this much. These floors cost this much. I thought that was pretty cool how they did that.
Let's talk about that though, because that brings up another good angle. So that house, Mr. Pruitt's house, wanted $3.2 million. And it was 4,200 square feet. The first house that Mr. Reagan looked at was 8,060 square feet.
Yeah.
And less money.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what it was, but I know, it was within his budget. But just by square foot price alone, you would think that if one is 3.2 million for 4,200 square feet, you're looking at 6.4 million for double the size. Yeah. And like that one had 230 feet of lakefront too. It was a huge lot. But again, it's back to the old adage of location, location, location. And people like Mr. Reagan will pay top dollar for location and that view. Let's go back though. Let's go back to Diane and Jamal, the second house. And there was another one I couldn't find. But I kind of thought that was actually maybe one of my favorite houses that I've seen the whole season. Had that beach, boat ramp.
Yeah.
Jamal even brought it up. I can park my boat on the empty lot.
Yep.
Put it in the water when I want. The kids have a yard to play in.
It was over budget. Yep.
Yeah, because it was $775, but it was 3 lots.
Yep.
A lot of lakefront, boat ramp. Would have needed to add a dock. One of the reasons and that was a hard no for her.
Yeah.
Straight up hard no.
Yep.
Man, I felt for Jamal because I've been in those conversations with my wife. I know you've been in them with yours. There wasn't no change in minds on that one. Mm-mm.
Yeah, we all know who wears the pants in most marriages and makes those decisions.
The kids. Yeah, ours were definitely, that's the truth. Go back and watch the podcast those two Rugrats did together.
That's good.
So let's kind of wind up. Let's talk a little bit. Give me your, you said it. You really enjoyed this episode, right?
I did. I enjoyed it all across the board. I think it was at first when Amanda's clients, when they were setting the stage, I thought it was going to be another one of those, their budget's going to be $250. So I was really happy to hear when they said it was higher, because I did want to see what kind of homes they showed them. I was cringing throughout those conversations because Amanda's knowledge of the lake is, I don't know what it is, but it's portrayed to be very poor. And that made me cringe because even as a non-real estate agent, I was like, oh my God, don't say that. Like, you know better than that. So there's that. And then, of course, I loved the Reagan thing was cool. It's always fun to see rich people. It's especially rich people with stripper poles and purple rooms. And then when they incorporated in Pruitt, and then they made it super dramatic, sitting at his bar, and Reagan, make me feel like I got a deal, sticks out his hand, and it just holds what felt like 15 minutes waiting for him to shake his hand.
The editing was,
yeah. That was cheesy, but yeah, I thought it was good. But once again, that was a 1.5 year contract of allegedly, and the other couple, we have no idea if they got the house. So here we are again.
I mean, we're pretty much, our job is to set the record straight. So we're going to find out one way or another. I'll ask the tough questions. I'll do the digging. We'll maybe get Mr. Reagan on here. For me, that episode was good. Enjoyed it. I gotta admit, I kind of missed the Jonas Justin thing, their banter, their interaction. Would like to see more of them. Overall, though, again, it's same situation. The lack of closure. Let me ask you this: did you watch the show through a different eye after hearing Peggy last week kind of talk about her experience?
No. I think at first I would say that my first reaction of the Reagan situation was that was staged. And then when they brought Pruitt into it, now knowing that they're neighbors, I feel like that was possibly staged. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Peggy would probably tell us different.
No, Peggy would give us the truth. So the show. Let's talk about our show, about the show, and what we're going to do with our show kind of going forward. Because this is Lakefront Empire Unpacked. We've unpacked 8 episodes now. We don't know, and sounds like Ciera is going to call us as soon as she knows, but we don't know that there's a second season. We do know folks like watching this show. So that's where we need your help. If you've made it this far, if you've listened to the rambling and the nonsense and the yin and the yang and the Ciera and the, you name it, if you've listened to it, we want to continue doing this. It's going to be a little different because we don't have technically anything to unpack, but we can unpack the lake. We can unpack events. We can unpack businesses. We can do whatever. If you want to see more of this, we need to know what you want to see. I think we have the ability to really get the word out about a lot of different things. What do you say? What do you think, Jeff? Like, are you anything I've missed in that? Like what do we want to talk about going forward? What can we hint on? What?
When you said that earlier, I didn't say anything, but I'll tell you right now, this podcast is not ending. With the show ending. First of all, we've got a bunch of people to interview yet that I think that helps carry this forward. We want to try to get Reagan. We want to try to do the shit box. We want to do the Strix. I think it'd be cool to do more of the agents, maybe the brothers. We want to do Kaiser. We're definitely going to do that. So we got enough episodes just to take us into midsummer, to be honest with you. And I think there's more reason to continue doing this, whether or not the show continues or not. Whether you do this with me or not, Ramsey, we're going forward. We're going forward. We're pressing forward.
We're pressing forward, but we need help knowing. Like, I want to add some like fun segments. I want to add some repeatable stuff. Would love to add a sponsor if there's anyone out there that sees what we're doing with this and wants to come on board with us and have some fun. I think we can add some cool things to it. I think we can add some on location type stuff potentially. I would love to do this podcast. I've not told Jeff this, but I'm going to figure out how to do this podcast from a boat.
Yeah.
We've kind of done one.
I mean, dude, we've done interviews on boats. I did your interview on a boat. Absolutely.
It would be really cool to do a podcast sitting in the water with a drink on a lily pad.
Well, that might be tough. That might be a little tougher.
I think we can do it. I've got I got a guy that can help us with the technical side of these things and make sure. But I have this one cove in mind that's got this beautiful house that you're in love with that could set the perfect backdrop.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And he would actually host this. Absolutely. Great idea.
So you got to throw it out there. You got to let the world kind of soak it in. And whether we did it from, like I said, in the water on a lily pad, cold beer, cold drink in our hand, or we do it from his dock. Like I want to figure out how to do it. I want to have some fun. I'd love to do it from other docks. I'd love to really give folks the lake that they wish they would have got in the show, even though they got the lake in the show for what it was supposed to be. But please, in the comments, DMs, whatever, tell us what you want to see, because I think we're onto something here. I'm excited for the additional content that we can come up with and the interviews we can have. Like you said, I want to get the Farrell brothers, Mr. Reagan. Would love to have Gerardo, Strix, maybe Mr. Kaiser.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
And so we just have to keep it going. And so if you've made it this far, I keep saying it, like this is an hour long. But if you're here with us till the end, we'd love you to share it, like it, subscribe to it, follow it, shout it from the rooftops, anything to get out in front of more people. I think we've got a lot of fun things to talk about. We've got real life lake real estate experience. We've got real life lake visitors / will live here soon experience. And we've got fun people that want to be a part of it. So I'm looking forward to it, Jeff. Any last thoughts on season 1, episode 8, or season 1 Lakefront Empire?
If you didn't watch this, if you didn't watch this particular episode, I would bet it's probably going to be a top 2 of your favorites, if not the favorite. So go watch it. If you haven't watched the entire show, you probably, as we've seen from the comments, some people like our show better than that show. So, to each their own. It might be worth binge watching one day, but honestly, you might have fun watching it and then watching our show, because then we unpack the specifics. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being loyal followers. Don't keep us a secret. Share us. And we do want your feedback. You tell us what you want to see on this show, and we will give it to you. Except less Ramsey dancing on a stripper pole or being at a nudist colony or anything like that.
And more nice comments about me, because I can show them to my mom. Makes me feel good. Still like to have mom tell me I'm a good boy. So this has been fun.
See you next week, man.
Yeah, next week we'll have we'll have another guest, and I'll line that up, and excited. Jeff, enjoy the rest of your day. Folks that watched, listened, tuned in, whatever you want to call it, we appreciate you. Look forward to doing it again. Peace.
Peace.